I grew up thinking I knew my grandmother Aurora like the back of my hand. Her laughter was contagious, her hugs could heal any pain, and her blue eyes sparkled like a summer sky on a cloudless day. She was the kind of person who made you feel seen and loved all at once. But little did I know that was only half the story. The day she passed away, I inherited more than just memories. I inherited a mystery, one that would shatter my perception of her as an open book. As I helped sort through her belongings, a sense of melancholy settled over me like a shroud. Every item, every photo, every piece of jewelry told a story of a life well lived, of love, of laughter, and of tears. But then my hand stumbled upon an old wooden box, tucked away in a corner of her attic, hidden as if waiting for me to find it. The box itself was unassuming, its wood worn smooth by age, but as I lifted the lid, a worn leather diary slipped into my hands. The cover creaked as I opened it, revealing yellowed pages that whispered secrets of the past. My heart skipped a beat as I recognized the handwriting Aurora's. But it was the date on the first entry that made my world tilt on its axis. It was a date decades before I was born. A time of war, of turmoil, of forbidden loves and lost treasures. As I began to read, the room around me melted away, and I was transported to a world I had only heard about in whispers. A world of sacrifice, of enduring love, and of secrets kept hidden for generations. In that moment I realized that I didn't know my grandmother at all. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I loved and admired, had lived a life so much more complex, so much more extraordinary than I could have ever imagined. And as I delved deeper into the pages of her diary, I understood that her story was not just about her. It was about our family, about the power of love to transcend time and circumstance, and about the legacies we leave behind. Over the coming hours, I'll share with you the revelations that poured out of those yellowed pages, of a love that defied the odds, of a treasure hidden in plain sight, and of the sacrifices made for the sake of family and love. It's a story that spans generations, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. So sit with me, and let us embark on this journey into the heart of my grandmother's hidden diary. Let's uncover the secrets she kept, and let her story become a part of yours. In the late 1930s, nestled in the heart of America, lay Willow Creek, a small rural town untouched by the rapid changes sweeping the nation. It was a place where time stood still, where the air was sweet with the scent of blooming wildflowers and the earthy smell of freshly tilled soil. The townspeople lived simple lives, their days dictated by the rising and setting of the sun. It was here, in this idyllic setting, that young Aurora grew up, her spirit as free as the birds that sang in the morning. Aurora was a dreamer, with eyes that sparkled like the stars on a clear night and hair as golden as the wheat fields that swayed gently in the breeze. She loved nothing more than to lose herself in the pages of a book, imagining worlds beyond the rolling hills and dusty roads of Willow Creek. Her heart yearned for something more, though she couldn't quite put her finger on what that was. It was as if she felt the stirrings of a restlessness, a sense that there was a larger world out there waiting for her. The family farm, where Aurora lived with her parents and siblings, was a haven of love and laughter. Her parents, hardworking and kind, tilled the land with care, coaxing life from the earth. Thomas, her older brother, was an aspiring aviator, with a passion for flying that knew no bounds. He would spend hours poring over books on aeronautics, dreaming of the day he could soar through the skies. Lily, her younger sister, was a poet, seeing the world through a lens of wonder and magic. The family was close-knit, their days filled with the simple joys of farm life, mornings in the fields, school in the afternoons, and starry nights that seemed to stretch on forever. As the seasons passed, Aurora's love for reading and her imagination only grew stronger. She would often sneak away to a favorite spot under a sprawling oak tree, where she would write in a small notebook, pouring her thoughts and dreams onto the page. It was a quiet, peaceful existence, one that was both comforting and suffocating. For though Willow Creek was a beautiful place to grow up, Aurora couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to life than the familiar rhythms of her small town. The evenings were filled with community gatherings, where the townspeople would come together to share stories and laughter. Aurora loved these gatherings, feeling the warmth and camaraderie of the community. But as she grew older, she began to feel a subtle discontent, a sense that she was meant for something more. It was a feeling she couldn't quite articulate, but it simmered beneath the surface, waiting to emerge. And as she lay in bed at night, listening to the crickets and the wind rustling through the trees, Aurora couldn't help but wonder what the future held, and whether she would ever find the courage to leave the only home she had ever known. As the summer of '39 waned, the warmth of the sun began to fade, and with it, the carefree laughter of the children in Willow Creek. The news from Europe, once a distant murmur, grew louder, seeping into our quiet lives like the chill of autumn. My grandfather, Thomas, would gather us around the radio, his eyes aglow with excitement, as he listened to the broadcasts about the rising tensions. He spoke of adventure, of the thrill of the unknown, and the possibility of serving a greater cause. But my parents' faces were etched with worry, their brows furrowed in concern for our safety, for the livelihood of our farm. Aurora, too, began to sense the unease that settled over our town like a shroud. She'd sit on the porch, her eyes lost in thought, as the wind rustled through the leaves of the old oak tree. Her dreams of far-off lands and exotic tales began to seem like a distant memory, replaced by the harsh realities of a world on the brink of war. I recall the day she confided in me, her voice barely above a whisper. "Do you think it's going to affect us? Do you think it'll come here?" Her eyes, once bright with hope, now seemed to hold a hint of fear. It was on one of those crisp autumn evenings, as the sun dipped below the horizon, that we saw him. A young man, tall and lean in a military uniform, walked into our town. His eyes scanned the streets, as if searching for something or someone. Aurora and I exchanged a glance, and I sensed a spark within her, a flicker of curiosity. There was something different about this stranger, an air of quiet confidence, and a hint of secrets kept. As he approached us, his eyes locked onto Aurora's, and I saw a flash of recognition, a sense of connection that went beyond a simple greeting. "Hello," he said, his voice low and smooth with a hint of an accent. "My name is Elias. I've just arrived in town, and I was looking for a place to stay." Aurora's cheeks flushed as she introduced herself, and I noticed the way her eyes lingered on his face, the way her voice seemed to tremble ever so slightly. There was something in Elias's eyes, a depth that seemed to hold 1,000 stories, and a sense of danger that lurked just beneath the surface. I remember feeling a shiver run down my spine, a sense that this stranger was not like the others, that he carried a weight that none of us could quite understand. As the night drew in and the stars began to twinkle in the sky, I couldn't shake the feeling that our lives were about to change, that this chance encounter would set us on a path from which there was no return. Little did we know, the knock at the door, the one that would change everything, was just around the corner, and it would come when we least expected it. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, Aurora and Elias's clandestine meetings grew more frequent, their bond strengthened by the secret nature of their love. They'd steal glances at each other during church services, exchange whispered words in the dead of night, and meet in hidden spots around Willow Creek, the old barn, a secluded spot in the sunflower field, where the soft rustle of the wind and the golden light of the setting sun became their own private world. In those moments the war seemed far away, and all that mattered was the solace they found in each other's arms. Aurora felt seen, truly understood for the first time in her life. Elias, with his piercing blue eyes and gentle touch, brought light into her world, and she, with her laughter and her kindness, gave him a reason to keep going. But Elias's past was a heavy burden he couldn't shake off. One evening, as they sat together on a weathered bench overlooking the creek, he took Aurora's hand and revealed the truth. He was no ordinary soldier. He was a German scientist, a deserter. His mission in Willow Creek wasn't to serve the Reich but to prevent a catastrophe. He was searching for a powerful encryption device, an artifact that could change the course of the war. This artifact, Elias explained, was hidden by his mentor, a brilliant clockmaker who had designed it as a safeguard against the Nazi regime. The clockmaker had passed away, but before he died, he entrusted Elias with the responsibility of finding and securing the device. Aurora listened, her heart pounding in her chest, as Elias shared his story. She felt a mix of fear and admiration for the man she loved. Their love became a beacon of hope in those trying times, but it also made them vulnerable. As Nazi agents began to appear in Willow Creek, disguised as civilians, the atmosphere in town grew thick with paranoia. People they'd known all their lives now seemed suspicious, their smiles and greetings laced with an undercurrent of menace. Elias knew they were closing in on him, and the artifact. One night, guided by Elias and driven by her growing determination, Aurora accompanied him to the old church. There, beneath the creaky pews and the solemn gaze of the saints, lay a secret they never expected to find, an ancient labyrinth. The air was stale, the darkness palpable, but with a lantern lighting their way, they navigated the narrow passages. Cobwebs clung to their faces, and the sound of gurgling water echoed through the tunnels. In the heart of the labyrinth, they discovered a hidden chamber. And there, nestled in a bed of old cloth, lay the encryption device. It was smaller than they'd imagined, a complex assembly of gears and symbols that seemed to hold the fate of the world in its metal heart. Aurora felt a surge of courage mixed with fear. She was now an active participant in Elias's mission, a reluctant but determined ally. As they made their way back to the surface, the diary became Aurora's sole confidant, a repository of her fears, her love, and her resolve. She wrote by candlelight, the pages filling with her innermost thoughts. "I never imagined I'd be part of something like this," she confessed to the diary. "But for Elias, for us, I'll face whatever comes next." The stakes had escalated, and with each step, Aurora felt herself transforming. She was no longer just a passive observer in the story of her life. She was the protagonist, navigating a tale of love, sacrifice, and survival. And as she closed the diary, a sense of determination hardened within her. She would protect Elias, the artifact, and their love no matter the cost. As I read through Grandma Aurora's hidden diary, I can almost smell the damp earth and feel the weight of the underground labyrinth. The air was thick with anticipation, every step echoing through the narrow passages. Aurora and Elias had been searching for what felt like an eternity, their hearts pounding in unison as they navigated the ancient stones. Their eyes adjusted to the dim light, and suddenly, the secret chamber unfolded before them. The artifact, a small, intricately carved box, glimmered in the faint light. But as they reached out to claim it, the sound of footsteps, heavy and deliberate, shook the ground. Nazi agents, their faces twisted with malice, emerged from the shadows. Aurora's heart skipped a beat as Elias instinctively pushed her behind him. The agents closed in, their guns drawn. The labyrinth, once a path to discovery, had become a deadly trap. Aurora's mind racing, she recalled every twist and turn, every hidden passage. She grabbed Elias's arm, pulling him toward a narrow crevice just as the agents opened fire. The sound of gunfire echoed through the chamber, the smell of smoke and sweat filling their lungs. Aurora and Elias exchanged a fleeting glance, their eyes locking in a moment of pure understanding. This was it, there was no turning back. In the chaos, Elias was hit, his body crumpling against the stone. Aurora's world shattered. She knelt beside him, tears streaming down her face as she cradled his head in her lap. "No, no, no," she whispered, her voice cracking with despair. Elias's eyes, filled with a deep sadness, met hers. "Aurora, you must go," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "Take the artifact. It's our only hope." With a Herculean effort, he pushed the box into her hands. Aurora felt a scream building inside her, but Elias's grip on her hand tightened. "Promise me," he urged, his voice fading. "Promise you'll keep this safe, that you'll make a difference." Tears streaming down her face, Aurora nodded. "I promise, Elias. I promise." As she watched, Elias's eyes glazed over, his body going limp. The sound of the agents closing in, the smell of blood and fear, it all receded into the background. Aurora's world narrowed to the artifact in her hands and the ache in her heart. She scrambled to her feet, the labyrinth seeming to shift and twist around her. She ran, the artifact clutched tightly, her heart heavy with grief. The footsteps behind her grew fainter, but she didn't dare look back. She knew she'd never be able to go back, not after this. The diary, now a tangible connection to Elias and their sacrifice, became a beacon of hope. Aurora's mission, born in the darkness of the labyrinth, would carry her through the darkest of times. As she emerged into the night air, the stars twinkling above, she knew she'd find a way to honor Elias's memory, to make their sacrifice count. The pain would stay with her, a constant reminder of what she'd lost. But alongside it, a determination grew, a flame that would guide her through the years to come. She'd make sure Elias's sacrifice wasn't in vain. She'd keep the promise no matter the cost. As I emerged from the labyrinth, the night air clung to me like a damp shroud. The rain-soaked streets of Willow Creek were empty and silent, a stark contrast to the turmoil that churned within me. I stumbled, my legs trembling beneath the weight of my grief. Elias's lifeless eyes haunted me, his final words echoing in my mind. "Promise me, Aurora. You must make a difference." I clutched the small, intricately carved box to my chest, the artifact that now felt like a burden, a constant reminder of the promise I had made. The walk home was a blur, my feet carrying me on autopilot as my mind reeled with the events of the night. I pushed open the creaky door, and the warm glow of the lamp in the hallway was like a slap in the face, jolting me back to reality. My parents, oblivious to the storm that had ravaged my world, looked up from their seats in the living room, concern etched on their faces. "Aurora dear, where have you been?" "We were worried sick," my mother said, her voice a gentle probe into my fragile emotional state. I forced a smile, a flimsy disguise for the anguish that threatened to consume me. I was just out for a walk. I lost track of time. The lie came easily, a necessary shield to protect me from the prying eyes of those I loved. But as I looked into their concerned faces, I felt a pang of guilt, knowing that I was now isolated by a secret that could change the course of history. The days that followed were a haze of numbness, as if I was trapped in a waking dream. I went through the motions, pretending to be the same carefree girl I had once been. But the weight of Elias's death and the burden of the artifact bore down on me, making every step feel like a struggle. My diary became my sole confidant, the one place where I could express the unbearable loss and the crushing responsibility that now rested on my shoulders. As I poured out my heart onto the pages, the words flowed like tears, a cathartic release of the emotions that threatened to overwhelm me. I wrote of Elias, of his bravery and sacrifice, of the promise I had made to him. I wrote of the artifact, of the mystery that shrouded it, and of my determination to unravel its secrets. The diary became my lifeline, a tangible connection to Elias and the mission he had entrusted to me. In the silence of my room, by the flickering light of a candle, I began to study the artifact, poring over Elias's notes and seeking to understand its purpose. The symbols etched onto its surface seemed to dance in the shadows, taunting me with their secrets. But I was determined to decipher their meaning, driven by the need to honor Elias's memory and fulfill his mission. The local library became my sanctuary, a place where I could lose myself in books and research. I spent hours poring over dusty tomes, searching for clues that might lead me to the truth. The librarian, a kind-eyed woman with a warm smile, noticed my presence and offered words of encouragement, but even her kindness couldn't pierce the armor of isolation that had grown around me. As I navigated this new solitary path, I began to feel a nascent resolve taking root within me. It was a fragile thing, easily bruised by the weight of my grief, but it was a start. I knew that I had a long journey ahead of me, one that would take me into the very heart of darkness and uncertainty. But with Elias's words echoing in my mind, I steeled myself for the challenge, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As I left Willow Creek, the familiar comforts of home faded into the distance, replaced by the anonymity of a larger city. I settled into a modest apartment, its simplicity a reflection of my new solitary life. The city was a labyrinth, full of strangers and secrets, but I was determined to navigate it, to use its resources to unravel the mysteries of the artifact Elias had entrusted to me. Libraries and archives became my sanctuaries, where I pored over dusty tomes and yellowed documents, seeking any mention of the device. Elias's diary was my constant companion, guiding me through the dense forest of information. I devoured his notes, his theories, and his warnings, using them as a map to chart my own course. As I studied, I began to realize the true power of the artifact. It was more than a simple encryption device. It was a key to deciphering enemy codes, predicting strategic movements. The weight of this knowledge settled upon me, and I knew I had to master it, to wield it against the Nazi threat that still loomed large. My days blurred together in a haze of research and learning. I developed skills I never thought I'd need: observation, discretion, and counterintelligence. I practiced deciphering coded messages, subtly evading surveillance, and gathering information in public settings. A whispered conversation on a crowded train, a fleeting glance from a stranger on the street, all became potential sources of intelligence. But with each step forward, I felt the weight of my solitude. The city was a crowded, lonely place, and I was just one more face in the sea. Yet Elias's memory drove me forward, his words echoing in my mind, "You must make a difference, Aurora." I clung to his promise, to the love we shared, and the sacrifice he made for me. The Nazi threat was ever present, a shadow lurking just beyond the edge of perception. I spotted a suspicious individual on the bus, his eyes scanning the crowd with an intensity that made my heart skip a beat. I quickly looked away, feigning interest in the scenery outside, but my mind racing with possibilities. Were they searching for me, for the artifact? I knew I had to remain vigilant, constantly aware of the danger. In the quiet moments when the city receded and I was alone with my thoughts, I felt the toll of my secret life. The artifact, once a symbol of hope, now seemed a double-edged sword. A reminder of the risks I took, the burdens I carried. Yet I refused to falter, drawing strength from Elias's legacy, and the conviction that I was making a difference, no matter how small. The journey was far from over, but I was no longer the same young woman who had left Willow Creek. I had become a guardian of secrets, a keeper of the hidden legacy Elias had entrusted to me. And though the road ahead was fraught with peril, I walked it with a newfound sense of purpose, driven by love, and the determination to see my mission through to its end. As the war finally drew to a close, Aurora felt a profound sense of relief wash over her. The artifact, once a burden, had become a powerful tool in the hands of the Allies. Her role in transmitting crucial intelligence had frustrated enemy plans and contributed to several strategic victories. The memories of those long nights spent in secret offices, typing away on ancient machines, were now etched in her mind as a testament to her determination. The quiet satisfaction of having fulfilled her mission brought a sense of peace she had not known in years. Aurora decided to leave the city behind and return to Willow Creek, the small town where her journey had first begun. There she sought a new beginning, one that was far removed from the chaos and danger of her past. In Willow Creek, Aurora dedicated herself to community building, using her experiences to help others. She became a pillar of strength for the families affected by the war, offering guidance and support to those who needed it most. Her past, though a part of her, no longer defined her present struggles. Instead, it had become a source of wisdom, one that she shared generously with those around her. The artifact, now a cherished symbol of Elias and her past, was carefully stored in a beautiful music box. The delicate tune it played was a reminder of the love and sacrifice that had defined her journey. As she grew older, Aurora's experiences and wisdom earned her the respect and admiration of her community. She became the wise, loving grandmother that her granddaughter, the narrator, knew and cherished. Years later, as the narrator sat with her grandmother in their peaceful garden, surrounded by the beauty of nature, she began to understand the depth of Aurora's character. The seemingly simple life she had lived was built upon extraordinary experiences and profound sacrifices. The diary, now a treasured family heirloom, revealed the complexity of her grandmother's story, a testament to the enduring power of love and sacrifice. In those quiet moments, surrounded by the serenity of her later years, Aurora's legacy came alive. Her story became a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always a way forward, always a chance to make a difference. And as the narrator looked into her grandmother's eyes, she knew that she would carry Aurora's wisdom and love with her, a guiding light on her own journey through life. As I sit here surrounded by the familiar comforts of my home, I find myself lost in the pages of Grandma Aurora's diary. What was once a mysterious leather-bound book has become a treasured companion, a map to the soul of the woman I thought I knew. Her story, woven through these yellowed pages, has redefined my perception of her, of myself, and of the very fabric of our family's history. I recall the stories she used to tell me as a child, tales of fairies and heroes, of magical realms and daring quests. At the time, I saw them as simple fantasies, meant to spark my imagination and guide me through the challenges of growing up. But now I realize that those stories were more than just fables. They were metaphors for her own extraordinary life, a heroic journey that she lived in secret. Aurora's legacy is not just the artifact she fought so hard to protect, nor is it merely the secrets she kept hidden. It's the silent strength she embodied, the wisdom she shared through her stories, and the unconditional love she showed to everyone around her. Her life was a tapestry of complexity and beauty, woven with threads of courage, sacrifice, and devotion. As I reflect on her story, I see parallels between her struggles and triumphs and my own life. I realize that the same fears, the same doubts, and the same hopes that drove her are still present in me today. Her experiences continue to inspire and guide me, offering a sense of purpose and direction that I had been lacking. Finding this diary has been a journey of emotional catharsis for me. It's as if I've finally found a piece of myself, a piece that had been missing all along. I feel a deep sense of peace, a profound understanding of life and courage that I can only attribute to Aurora's story. This diary has become a personal treasure, a guide that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. And so I'm left with a universal message, one that I hope to share with others. It's a message about discovering our own hidden stories, about sharing them, and about the power of love and sacrifice to transcend time and circumstance. Aurora's example has shown me that our stories, no matter how big or small they may seem, have the power to inspire, to heal, and to connect us in ways that we never thought possible. As I close this diary, I feel a sense of gratitude, a sense of awe, and a sense of responsibility. I'm grateful for the gift of Aurora's story, and I'm humbled by the realization that I, too, have a story to tell. I hope that, like Aurora, I can share my own tale with courage, with compassion, and with the wisdom that only comes from living a life that's been fully lived. As we close the chapter on Grandma Aurora's remarkable story, I'm reminded of the profound lessons she shared with us. Her life was a testament to the transformative power of love, sacrifice, and resilience in the face of adversity. Through her journey, we've witnessed the courage to challenge the status quo, the strength to persevere, and the heart to forgive. Aurora's story has shown us that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope, always a chance for redemption and growth. If these themes have resonated with you, then I know that Grandma Aurora's story has fulfilled its purpose. Her legacy lives on, not just in the memories of those who knew her, but in the experiences and stories that you've shared with others. As you reflect on your own life, I encourage you to consider how the lessons of Grandma Aurora can inspire and guide you. Now, I'd like to invite you to be a part of this story's next chapter. Please take a moment to share your thoughts with us. What did you learn from Grandma Aurora's story? How has her legacy touched your heart? Your comments and reflections are a vital part of this journey, and we're grateful for your presence. Before we go, I'd be honored if you could hit that subscribe button and join our community of storytellers and seekers. Your support means the world to us, and it allows us to continue sharing stories that inspire and uplift. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on our latest tales. As we conclude this chapter, I leave you with a question. What secret do you think Grandma Aurora held dearest to her heart? One that allowed her to face life's challenges with such courage and compassion? Share your thoughts with us, and let's continue the conversation. Thank you for joining me on this journey. May Grandma Aurora's story stay with you, inspiring you to live a life of love, resilience, and purpose.